All right, show and tell for the October 2020 HR SMS meeting, Hampton Road Ship Model Society.
I've got
Rylan,
one.
do you have anything to show us? You're muted, Rylan.
I wish everybody could see this beautiful, it's right here behind me, 6-foot long model of the Vasa. It is accurate in every single detail. In fact, I took 470 pictures of the Vasa at the museum. And as you can see, everything is represented there. The gold, everything, it's all there. And I finished it the last 2 days. It took me 2 days to build it. And it's obviously 6 feet long. I'm sorry you can't see it.
Yeah, well, some other day.
Perhaps.
Good one.
Okay, Rylan, did you have anything to show?
My Medway longboat, no progress on that since the last meeting, but I do have Bill.
Oh, yeah.
This is the model that was referred to, the Foodie Loan, and quite detailed model for Bill Clark, and shipping the bottle built traditionally like a shipping the model is normally built.
Yeah.
A lot of effort on it.
It would be a lot more valuable if it was signed. I bet you don't have a signature on there, do you?
Darn, he didn't sign it.
No, see?
But Bill Clark is somebody we are really going to miss. I know I'm going to miss him. And he was always somebody that really joked around with and rib him, and he took it all in jest, and he shot it back too. So somebody we're all going to miss.
Amen. John, you have something to show?
Yeah.
See if I can get it switched over. I've been working on Royal Caroline and just started the rigging, started the forward shrouds. So made some progress on it since last time I showed it. So quite a bit to go, but it's come along pretty well, I think.
I'd say so.
Nice work, John.
Yeah, working with the metal is a challenge, no question. It doesn't bend very well. So you really have to work with it for quite a while to get it to sweep up on the bow section up there. And if the placement of the figurehead is off, that metal sweep up there at the bow will not work. I found that out the hard way. I think the moral of the story is don't use super glue until you need it.
If at all.
Yeah.
Okay, so that looked really good. My fault for not using full names. I really meant to ask John Cheevers if he had anything to show. So.
Oh, I didn't want to see that anyway.
Yeah, there are some things that are better not seen. But I don't have anything, but I will say something. And then I guess Sean will have something. Now that Bill's gone, obviously there's a hole in my life because he was a very close and dear friend. But I'm sure he would appreciate the fact that now that he's gone, that his position of naggravator is open for anyone who would like to fill that. So he was an excellent naggravator. He could get you there and frustrate you at the same time. So I do miss him. Maybe when boys dig through the pile of stuff that he always said he had, they might find a couple of more ship model gems that maybe we'll have a photographic record of them or something. Who knows? That's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
You want Sean to go next
Sure.
while I'm here?
Dennis was raising his hand though. Let's find out what he wanted.
I just wanted, as long as Ron's here, I'm going to show the Holy Bennett that I've been working on for quite a while. And he'll be happy to know that it's finally painted.
Looks great. Looks great. And you got the hole cut in the deck, so nice work, Dennis.
All right. Would you, Greg, when you're ready, would you
Yep.
share it to the other one I've got?
Yep.
The other meeting thing?
I'm looking for it. I saw it a moment. Oh, there it is.
Ooh. Nice picture.
So this is my status of the siren from the last meeting. I've added the stern framing in, and I've started the gun ports and the oar ports. I've also laid in a batten for the top of the whales so that I can start putting in the planking for the upper portion of the bulwarks. And then I also, it's kind of probably hard to show, but I milled some maple because I'm going to do all of the planking in maple. So that's the progress that I've done today.
Are you gonna copper it, the hole?
I didn't hear the question.
Are you gonna copper the hole on this model?
Yes, I am. At least that's the plan. It's it's looking at the instructions. It's a little intimidating what the plank, to do the coppering, but I am going to give it a shot and see how it comes out.
Just to mention, there are quite a few siren bill logs on model ship world. And
I
also,
have been on that a lot. In fact, Chuck Pizarro's tutorage on how to the paintings and the artist paints. I've been using that method. I'm really happy with it. I'm on my 15th coat, I think. So I've got a few more coats to go based on his practum. But there's a lot of good information on the coppering on NRG. So I'm going to try a few of those methods and see how it comes out.
Mr. Berger, I'm betting you have something to show us.
Yes, I do. Hang on a second. I'm having some difficulties with my system. It keeps sliding off the table. Anyways, yeah, here we go. Let me start. Last time, I presume you have this picture up on screen.
Yep.
Okay, this is where we left off last time when I attempted to do all the superstructures in brass. That didn't work out, so I opted for a more traditional wood and brass hybrid. So this is where we left off last time. The superstructure is all complete and initially primed. Then the next project was to start cleaning up the corners and fine-tuning all of the paint so that I could start some of the detailing, such as all the port structures for the gun tubs and so forth. And this goes on for all of the vertical structures, all the supports. I then moved on to the stack, and this is the beginning of the base of the stack. I did this in brass because it was going to be hollow, because there were some structural parts underneath it that you would see. And moving right along, there's the hollowness that you can see through that. Then it just progresses from there. I found some PVC pipe that fit exactly the curvature of the front and back side of it, squared it off, and built the trunks. And it's just an evolution of just adding the pieces. I used plastic to smooth it out. And here we go, just another continuous picture. All the painting looks kind of rough, but that's just to fill in little details. See how the fit and all that worked out. We're just moving along bit by bit. I built the interior of the stack out of brass because the ducts that ran down through the trunks, there were two of them, had squared off panels. One for the fore, one for the aft. So I wanted to be able to pick that. And since the stack was pretty wide open at the top, you'll be able to look down inside and see the trunk. And you can see here, it would just go down and it would curve down through the into the hull. And the whole thing would slide down inside and complete the construction. Somebody was asking about the whereabouts of the Olympia. There it is under wraps. To be continued. Oh, also you can see some of the. I went hog wild with some of the photo etched, not photo etched, the 3D printed parts. These are some components, bits and pieces for the destroyer. Some of the guns, some of the there were some remarkable parts. I just couldn't resist, so I opted to go down that route. It's going to save me a lot of time. Again, the stack, just adding details to it. And here it is in primer with bolts and welding and so forth added to it. Get onto the welding a bit later on, but there was a lot of welding beads to be added. As you can see on the deck, all of the superstructure and everything. I used the product. I have a photo of it at the end here from Archer decals, and it comes in strips of welding beads in a variety of scales. I opted for the 015 dimension because at that scale, 015, I think that yields maybe a 3/4 inch bead and 1/4 inch scale, something like that. So all of the hull, the decks, superstructures, everything all welded up. So you'll be able to pick those once it's painted. I was able to use the building drawing and so forth to determine where all the bead lines went. And of course, you have to wet them down. You have to seal them up, and they work very well. I mean, it's a remarkable product. And for those of you who are tired of nailing your planks on for the traditional builders, try welding. Oh, that nice detail. I don't know how it would work on wood, but anyway, that's the aft deck area with all the welding part of the superstructure. It's pretty tedious, but it took about a week to get through all that. And here you can see some of the brass that I opted to use along the side of the bulkhead. I used a lot of the brass that I had intended to use for the entire superstructure, but like I said, opted for more of a hybrid, and it worked out much better. Let me see here. Just continuation. Nothing really to add there. Oh yeah. That gives you an idea of what the weld bead looks like closer up, and it's very, very nice effect. This is the stack with some detail on it.
We've had in-depth lectures on compelling impression. It certainly makes it very compelling.
Yeah.
Dean, how do you simulate the welding seams?
It is a product, and I will show you the picture of it from Archer decals. It's literally a decal. and you get a sheet of them in a variety of scales if you wish. I happen to use the 0.015 width beads, and you just lay them down like a regular decal. And then once it's sealed and painted over, you end up with this effect.
That's incredible.
Yeah, no, it's a nice effect, and it brings it just adds a lot to the model.
And which ship is this, Gene?
This is the Kengoldie Campbell. It's a Butler class destroyer escort.
Got it.
Actually, I had built a version of this in a smaller scale earlier. It happened to be the ship that my wife's father served aboard during the war, and I just wanted to rebuild it bigger, better, as they.
You can move on to the hull with the weld beads.
Yes, I had completed the top sides, the deck, the superstructure, and then flip the boat over and start on the bottom. Here I'm putting the beading on all of the top of the structures around the wall, and that was applied with plastic rod.
What scale is this?
1/4 inch to the foot, 1/48. And here's the over here you can see the expansion joint, the welding, the beading around the gun tub, and some of the internal structures. That will all be very visible once it's all together. Okay, and here's the part of the hull primed up. Still a little bit of work to clean up some of the little scratches and things, but this kind of gives you an idea of what the effect would be. Then I moved on to the doors. Again, I opted to use some 3D printed components, which I was able to find online. Very, very nice, nicely rendered. I couldn't resist. And there's a little stack of doors ready for cleaning up and priming. Let me see here. We should be moving on. Yeah, there's some nice beading, and it's going to be very, very visible and a very nice effect, I think. And we're just starting to add components. As you can see at this point, I have not flipped the boat over to start on the hull. And that process I'm just about done with. Maybe another day and I should have the hull finished, and then I can start adding some paint. Let me see here. Let me back up one. I moved my attention to the bow for the anchor. I don't know, what do you call those? Anchor things. And started to kind of lay out a little bit of the pattern for the hull, because I'm going to have to start painting the boat as I move along, as I construct it, because there's no way I'm going to be able to get inside a lot of these little nooks and crannies once the boat is nearly finished. So this is about as far as I can go before I start laying down the final coat of paint. It's just an opening for one of the vents using the brass bulkhead. You can see it's very thin, so you'll be able to decide. You'll be able to see that it's a thin metal without a lot of thickness to it, because you'll be able to see inside a little bit. You just see that there's a void there, anyways. Let me see. There's some of the pattern for the deck painting, the deck blue and so forth. So all in all, it's coming together quite quickly. I should be able to get it hopefully by the end of the year. Well underway. Probably in the spring I'll have it finished. Okay, let me just move right along here quickly. Just a few extra pictures. And then the hull, laying down all of the. Are you guys able to hear me? It went awful silent.
Oh, we're listening, just listening.
Okay. No, I just thought maybe I had lost my audio.
Nope.
Again, laid out the hull plate pattern using the expanded shell plate drawings that I have. You can see those down at the bottom. Putting in the water, the sea chests, and so forth. All the sea chests will be depicted. All will be etching the grating to put over the openings. And I do have a question for either John or Greg here in a moment when we get to this one photo. Perhaps you could steer me in the right direction. Again, hull plating. Okay. Let me see. It should be coming up shortly. Oh, here's kind of priming over the welding to seal them all in. There we go. Here is a flush water scoop, and this was on the drawings. Both engines, both port and starboard, had them. I only have the 2D drawing of the plan view of it. Does anyone know what the here is the closer up? Does anyone know what the cross section of this looked like? Since it was a flush mounted system, I assume it was not unlike a NACA vent, where it was depressed down into maybe a screen down to the bottom. Was the whole thing screened in? Does anyone have any insight as to what the cross section of this might have looked like, or where I might go to find it? John, Greg?
Is it actually labeled a scoop?
Yes. Yeah, it's a flush. It's a flush kind of a scoop, and the photos that I have dockyard photos of destroyer escorts, such as the Slater and so forth. But unfortunately, they've all been blanked over, so they're no longer open and cannot see what it looks like. I'm assuming that this is a channel that runs kind of down to and then maybe it's a rounded or squared off depression, because it did not extend out into the water. It was a flush system.
Yeah. I've never seen anything that was scoop-like. The only thing I've ever worked with is simply, I don't know if cofferdam's the right word, but basically a box on the hull with a screen over it to keep the debris out.
Yeah, like a traditional sea chest. Yeah.
Yeah, sea chest, basically. Yeah. That's the only thing I have experience with is sea chest.
Yeah. Yeah, but unfortunately, this is the best picture I can get of it. But clearly, it's something scoop, and this would be for the port.
It would have probably been iron bars. It would have looked like a louver in a sort of an appearance. They could have been bent. Kind of like, where's my shape of my, just a little bit of an angle in them.
Yeah.
And
I just did a scoop sea chest.
Sean just, we can see this or not. No, it's not picking it up.
Did
Yeah,
they
you see
move?
that?
Yeah, I see that.
Something like that. It could be more bars than just what you're seeing in this photograph here.
Now, what is that photograph of?
Gene, I just did a Google search of scoop sea chest.
And it shows something like that. Scoop sea.
Yeah, just go into images and it showed up.
Oh, well, I must not have Googled it right then. Scoop sea chest. Okay, well, I'll try that. And it showed something kind of a structure similar to this.
Yeah, it would have. you know, they want to let the water in, but they want to keep the whales out. So
Yeah.
the biggie fish. So
Oh, okay. Well, great. Well, I'll continue my search in that direction. But yeah, I was kind of looking for, some sort of a cross section, because the book of drawings that I'm using, I have a fairly extensive booklet of engineering specs and drawings and things, but they just don't show anything of this detail. And
you would have needed a machinery drawing, unfortunately.
yeah. All righty. Well, I appreciate that. And then, well, the one photo that I wanted to show is not showing up. I don't know where it went. Anyways, the product, if you're interested in welding your wood hulls, is Archer decals, and that's where I stop. That's where I stand today.
Awesome as usual.
Go.
Hey, Gene, I had a question on the decals. Did you just put that down with water, and does it hold well against the primer?
Yeah. What you do is it's a traditional decal, very thin skinned. It's a 3D printed decal, if you will, because the beads have depth to them. They're raised. And you lay it down just with water, but that's not going to be enough to hold it. You need to apply then over it a softening agent. I use Walther's, or you could use Microsol or something like that. That softens decals to get it to adhere to irregular surfaces. And once it dries, you then need to prime over it, either with a thin coat of lacquer or paint or something to kind of seal it in. And they hold very well. In fact, I made some tests with masking tape because I was concerned that when I start masking the paint that I was going to pull up all my decals. But no, I had no problems with that at all. So once they're snugged in, dried, and softened and dried, they hold extremely well.
Thank you.
Yeah. There you go.
You all see that?
That's the product. And they have a whole line of weld beads in various shapes and sizes and thicknesses and so forth. Like I said, I opted for the 0.015 because that more closely resembled the width of the beads that I witnessed on the decks of the boat, and that maybe about a 3/4 inch, half inch, 3/4 inch bead, which was more than adequate. That's also the smallest one they make, so I didn't really have any choice to go any smaller.
All right, cool. Hank, do you have anything today? I muted most everyone, so yeah, okay.
I'm back. No, nothing to show today. I'm still working on deck furniture with Beagle, so maybe another month or so.
Okay. Stuart, Mr. Wynn, do you have anything today?
Oh, nothing more. I've been working on my little model for the last month and have absolutely nothing to show for it.
Yeah, well, at least you've done something. I haven't even touched mine in a month. So Tom, I'm guessing you don't have anything to show. Mr. Brown?
I finished Cheerful, so I'm trying to figure out what's next. So one of the things I'm interested in is I got this book, Sloops of the Hudson River, by Paul Fontenoy, who I believe was an NRG, past NRG director or something associated with the NRG.
Editor of the journal.
That's right. In his book, he's got plans of what's called the first effort. And I think this was supposed to be an NRG, originally supposed to be an NRG sponsored project similar to the Galley Washington and the other project they got going on, but I think it died. So one question I have for maybe Tom or Rylan or anybody that is close to the NRG. Do you know if there's full-size plans of this that exist anywhere?
Don't know that for a fact, but you could just drop a line to Paul. He's got his, I don't have his address handy, but if you go into a journal, if you go into a research, nautical research journal, there's an email for him that you can get to.
Oh, okay. I'll do that, Tom.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure he'd be able to direct you.
Thanks. Thanks. That's it, Greg.
All right, thank you. Patrick. You're muted. Do you have anything to show? No, that looked like a no. Okay, Tom?
Yeah, I got two things. First thing that I wanted to show you is, and I'm going to show you where I am right now with my Liverpool, but I'm going to hold this. Hang on. There we go. These are figures. I want to try to hold it steady. There you go. These are figures. Now, the Liverpool is 196, 1/8" scale. I wanted to put a few figures on it. Some people are of varying opinions on it, but to me, especially if you're doing a model with sails and things, the figures, if you don't overdo it, it gives it a sense of scale. And with the sails on it, you know, you want. I think it's an important detail. Now, I did plastic figures when I was much younger, and you know, you just paint them with enamel and they look like junk, so whatever. But these are figures that I got, and I believe they're for gaming, and they're from a company down by you folks. Actually, I picked up this whole box here, Thoroughbred. I'm sorry. Is it what? Yeah, Thoroughbred. They're in Portsmouth, Virginia, and I think it's game. I think it's for gaming. They do ironclads, pewter models of ironclads in relatively small size. They also do pewter models of field artillery, but they also have United States and Great Britain figures, 15 millimeter figures of British Marines and Royal Navy and United States Marines and Royal Navy. So I actually picked these up at an NRG show, believe it or not. It might have been one down in Hampton Roads, frankly. That's how long ago it was. They're still in business. So, you know, I'm sure, I mean, this is the paperwork that comes with them. Okay. So I will get all this information to Tom so that he could add it into your newsletter. Two questions with this that I don't want to take up time here, but just at some point I'm going to ask one of you experts. I've never really painted these before. I know to prime them, and I've done some painting on figures at 1/4" scale, the 3-phase painting, etc. I want to paint these in 1/8" scale, so obviously they're not going to be as much detail. The second thing is that I'm going to affix them to the deck in various places. Right now they got these real chunky stands, so obviously I'm going to cut them off and basically have them just sitting on boots. Now, if they were larger figures, I would drill up through the foot and I'd pin them to the deck. I can't do that with anything this small. So don't have to answer it now, but the question I'm going to have asked going forward is, how would you affix these to the deck? So, you know, we could ask that later. The other thing I'm going to do, I'm going to turn the camera around. Hang on. Let me see if I can get to it. Okay, here it is. Camera. Okay, and then I'm going to disconnect. All right, so this here is Liverpool as it currently is, and you don't really see a lot, I don't think, from the last figure that I showed, except that now it has all of the yard arms on. All of the sails that are going to be there are now on there. And now what I'm doing is I'm finishing up rigging. I put the T-gallant lifts, and you could see, let me see if I get any closer without destroying anything. You could see I added the halyard for the main T-gallant, and what it does is it comes down on top of the top. There's a block and tackle on the top, and then it goes down to the deck. The T-gallant brace, the T-gallant braces, the T-gallant lifts, they tie off at the dead eyes. And then what I have to do finally, which I will do last, is the actual braces. And once that's done, then I'm going to proceed to the anchors. And because I couldn't find anchors that were the right size, Chuck Pizarro, who's a friend of mine, actually printed out the right size anchors that I will be stowing on this model. After I'm done with that, then we're going to put the skid beams and the boats. You could see right on the forecastle here. Okay, that's one of the figures. It's just there temporarily because I use it as a scale reference. And there's the ship's captain. Now, interesting thing with this is the figure that's unmodified. This is the Liverpool 1778. At that time, the hat on the officers, the senior officers or the grade level officers, went side to side. By the time you got to War of 1812, it was fore and aft. So what I did is I took a figure and I actually sawed off the hat and put it back on again, 90 degrees off. So anyway, so that's where I'm at right now. Like I say, you really can't see a whole lot of progress from what you saw last time because I'm working on rigging. So you know, it's you know, that's the story. And like I say, at some point I'll be pinging on any of you experts who want to drop me a line or an email or something, or maybe I'll send an email in general and just ask for some helpful hints. I've got lots of figures. I'm obviously not going to put them all. I'm not going to mount them all, but I'm going to mount a few. Reason why I bought this many figures, frankly, is because unlike some of my friends at the club who want to go with bigger scales, I'm to the point now that I can't put very many big models in my house anymore. So I'm sort of standardizing on 1/8" scale, and people think I'm crazy for doing that, but we do have at least one member that he works in 1/350 and below, so he doesn't have any problems with that. Anyway, that's what I got.
Looks great. I think that rigging would drive me insane, so it's good to see that you still seem to have your senses.
You know, after listening to Gene, understand that I've been working on this model for quite some time, and I did also build a destroyer escort that I'll show sometime at a future meeting, which was a box scale model that I basically kit bashed because my daughter's father-in-law's father was on USS Camp. And so I kit bashed the model for him, and it was an interesting model because it was the only Edsel class destroyer escort where they changed all the 3-inch mounts out and put in 5-inch mounts. So anyway, but that model was much smaller scale. It took me about 5 to 6 months to build. I'm looking at what Gene's doing, and he's telling me he's going to be done in a week and he's going to be done by the spring. And I'm thinking, my God, I don't know how you do this.
I certainly feel your pain about running out of space. I mean,
I see that. Anyway, thanks, guys.
All right, Dennis, you have anything to show today? I think that's a no. Raise your hand if I'm wrong.
I already did.
Oh, you did. Sorry. Lee? You're muted. There you go.
I just started a model of Louis XIV's flagship, the Soleil Royal, and I don't have much to show this time, but I should be done with the first planking at least by next time. It's the biggest model I've ever made. It'll be about 3 feet long, although that's small by Gene standards. But it's one of the most heavily decorated models that's available, and I've been waiting for years to start this, and I finally decided now that I'm in my 80s, I'd better get busy, or I'll never do it.
What was the name of it again?
Pardon? I didn't hear you.
The name of the ship? I missed it.
It's French. I believe it's pronounced Soleil Royal, which means the royal sun.
Okay.
He considered himself the Sun King, and he named the ship after himself.
Okay. Oh, look forward to seeing more of that. Ryland, we already went. Somehow I was doing it left to right, top to bottom, but people got shuffled. I know Ryland already went. John already went. I think we're done with show and tell. Did I miss anyone? Nope. Okay. I did not send out a request for volunteers for a program. I don't think we have one this month. Okay, so I guess that concludes the meeting then.
I've only got one thing to say.
Okay.
That if everybody would send me the pictures of their project so I can put them in the logbook, I would appreciate that.
Okay.
John, second banana. Let me ask you another question if I can put it there.
I'm here.
All righty. I found the getting back to this sea chest thing real briefly. I found the photograph and the reference to that scoop. I guess it was a dry docking of the Coast Guard. And I see what you're talking about as far as the angled vanes there to direct water inward. They reference a grating that covered the whole thing. I presume it would be like a traditional sea chest grating that covered the whole thing.
I don't think that they had anything more than those bars on the main condenser scoop like that.
So I did see when I did the Google search, if you go further through the images, Gene, you will see that there are vessels that did have a grate or a screen type of cover over it that looks like it was stud bolted in place.
Yeah, and the site for the dry docking of the Taney references that picture, indicates that there was a strainer that was removed, and I'm presuming the strainer was probably covering over the entire structure, or would it be more internal? I don't know. But I'll continue looking at this image. I don't know how it looked during my initial search, but I appreciate it. Thanks.
Yeah, I'll dig around, see what I can find for you.
Yeah. I mean, the boats would have been very similar. The Taney was a Coast Guarder about the same size and purpose. So I'm assuming that, perhaps the structures, the engineering would have been similar in many respects.
Yeah.
Most of my experience with dealing with sea chests is there is some sort of a strainer over the opening to prevent stuff coming in and going into the condensers. You wouldn't want that. So there would have been some sort of barrier to prevent that.
Yeah, and the picture that John showed, it just looked like it's an open scoop at this point. So perhaps there was some sort of a screen on top of that. I don't know if that would disrupt the flow.
Yeah, so the picture was a dry docking, so I'm assuming they were probably removing stuff so that they could sandblast the hull and repaint it to preserve it.
I wonder, is there any chance there was an exit that matches that entrance? The screen could have been internal, but the flow of the water allowed to re-exit, and the debris would have.
Yeah.
There was screened out, would have had a chance to exit instead of collecting inside.
Yeah. Yeah, well, fortunately, it's on the bottom of the hull, and if I put it on blocks, you'll never see it anyway. So,
Oh, gee, some more you lost detail. Okay.
oh well, you know, at this scale, you pretty much can see it all.
There's also images of when Missouri grounded and when they dry docked it and did a survey of the damage when it was grounded. They show its suction intakes as well.
Oh,
And
really?
there's images out there. You should be able to find some images of that.
The Missouri, huh? Missouri dry dock. I'll try that too. All righty. Well, I appreciate it. I just have to get a little more creative in my searching, I guess. All right. Appreciate it.
When you do that search on the Missouri, you might want to check for its search on grounding, not necessarily dry dock, because if you do dry dock, you'll probably get more modern images, which I've been working on a 200 scale of Iowa, and if you do dry docking, it's mostly modern images of it in dry dock, not the grounding one.
Sure, sure. All righty. That will work. All right, thanks.
All right.
Okay.
Got a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I know, a lot of us are on model ship world, and for how many don't know about model ship world? Does everybody here know about it? I was just curious. It's in looking at model ship world now, what I'm amazed at are the new kits that are coming out. I've seen these Vanguard models by Chris Watton. I mean, they are really, for the kit builders, really nice kits. And they go together really nice. A lot of them already have the planking is spiled. It's, the technology in kits has just all of a sudden really exploded here. I was looking at another kit the other day on Master Kobol, the Russian manufacturer, and those kits are really detailed. I mean, the entire way that the kit is built is different from what we're used to as far as putting in a false keel and then putting your bulkheads in and then planking over it. I mean, these things got internal structures that almost like little modules that you put together and all. It's just unreal is what's, the design of these kits there are coming out to be. Plus the materials look a lot better. I mean, back, I guess when I first got in, I remember Caldercraft as being the top of the line kit. And, I've got a couple of Caldercraft kits and, quite frankly, some of the smaller pieces are even laminated and you almost have to paint over them because you don't want to see it looking like plywood on the model. But yeah, the new kits are really nice. I just thought I'd mention that for you, the builders out there who are building kits. I mean, it's a lot of good stuff out there.
What's the name of them again?
Too.
What's the name of them?
Master Corporal and Vanguard models.
Vanguard models. Yeah, Rylan, about one of the NRG conferences, Bob Ross, what's his last name? Bob Ross, I think his name is. He's the kit designer for Blue Jacket.
Al Ross.
Yeah. And he did a presentation on wooden kits today. And what he said is that, most people grew up with plastic kits. And plastic kits, they basically, you had a box of parts and you assembled the parts. Wooden kits were never like that. But what he said now with the wooden kits is that a lot of the newer model builders are expecting you buy a wooden kit and you're assembling parts like you assemble parts in a plastic kit. So that's why you're starting to see these kind of kits coming out there.
Yeah. Well, even there was one from CAF Models. It's out of China. And these are legit Chinese kits, not the the copycats. But I know a fellow by the name of Kevin over in England. He bought a kit about a month ago, and he's already got it framed up and everything. It's a fully framed ship model, and I know that David Anthraschel and Greg Herbert, they build these boats, but it takes them years to get to the point this guy's done in a month. I mean, it's just the technology is just unreal now.
Well, any more chatting or before we close things up?
We can always go around and find out what your favorite tool is.
I've got a couple. All right. Well,
tools, you know, I know that George Livingston had a lot of tools. You sent pictures of.
yeah. So whenever we have our next auction, we're going to be pretty well stocked.
It may have to be a virtual auction. And I mean, I don't know when all this stuff is going to get over with. I mean, I guess the winter will determine.
It seems to be that the vast majority would prefer to see those things in a live auction.
Yes.
If we didn't have a storage place for the larger items, I was willing to do it online, get it set up. But if there's no need, there's no need. So, well, I think that if we, yeah, never mind. I'll hold that thought. I was going to say something along the lines of we don't need to wait until our regular auction date. If it becomes safe to do it in January or February, you know, there's no need to wait until March or April. But for the sake of people storing things that, you know, will want to get them out of their garages. Yes. But heck, March isn't really all that far away. So.
I know we got a lot of stuff that's already stored, and we're on the cusp, not just today, but a few other things are in the works of getting a lot more.
Okay.
And I think if you don't mind, let me get my hands around what all we have.
Yeah.
And that might guide what we decide to do. So.
Okay. Well, certainly if people are starting to get annoyed by the storage space taken up, we're going to have to do something. But that's something we can table for a bit.
Yeah, I've got a picture of the stuff that George has left us. I don't know how this share screen works. I've got it up on my screen now. If I hit share screen, what will that do?
If you click it, you should get an option of things to show. The first one is whatever's on your screen. That's the easiest.
Right. I got it.
Left. Yeah. Don't see anything yet. Here we go.
You got it?
Yep.
Yes.
That's what she's given us. Everything you see in that picture except the garbage can and the hose.
Okay.
I don't know how you do this online. You don't.
Well, yeah, you'd have to. I never really thought we'd do all the little things online. It was more the bulkier items, or like the machine tools.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
it. And I already have individual pictures of all of his Dremel and Proxon stuff. Another argument is for those tools is to get them in the hands of people so they can start being used instead of sitting idle for half a year. But if we can, last time this subject came up, it was pretty clear that most people did not want to do it online or via email. So if we can hold on to it, we will. But, you know, if storage space becomes an issue, we can start doing some trial runs online. I've got an item that I don't really care to donate and would like to do something online. And Ulrich Gunther said he has a number of kits that he wants to do the same with. So we could use those as a trial run, see how things go. So I don't know what Ulrich had in mind. I was going to do like, you know, anything over a certain amount was going to go to the club as far as the winning bid goes. So that's that. As far as next meeting goes, if we want to have a program, put your thinking caps on. You know, we've always done things internally, but Bill mentioned, you know, they've had a few external guest speakers, so we could start thinking that way. If you have any ideas, let me know. And unless there's anything else, that's it. All right. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Take care, everybody.
Hey,
Take it
See
easy.
you later.
see y'all guys.
Good day, boys. Be well.
Y'all take care.
Yep. Have a
Well.
good month. Try and catch up to Gene.
Yeah.